And what's up, guys? We're back for another breakdown and predictions video. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a PFL Semifinals 2025 World Tournament full card breakdown and predictions video. And I honestly think this was a great idea from the PFL to do this World Tournament. I thought it was really creative, but they just botched it, man. They haven't done a good job promoting it. And unfortunately, it hasn't been the greatest run for them this year, but hopefully this card can turn it around. I like some matchups on this card, and I think could be fun. But yeah, man, I got a couple bets for this card already. I got a underdog bet, so if you want access to that, go to patreon.com/predictionguru. You're going to get access to other breakdown and predictions as well. I'm looking into LFA, UAE Warriors, a couple of other cards that are going on right now. Going to have some place for you potentially for those cards. But let's get into what you guys came here for, which is the PFL breakdowns. And first fight on the card, we got Jason Danner. He's going to be taking on Nathan Gilmore. And low-level fight, Danner. He is going to be making his debut. He is fighting Nathan Gilmore, who is an Arkansas fighter. And Danner, he's 2-0, and he's won six fights in a row overall, if you go back to his amateur career. But he's fought complete nobodies. He's coming off a win over someone that was 2-19. And even though this fight he's fighting someone that looks like he has a really bad record as well at 4-5, obviously that's a hell of a lot better than 2-19. And Gilmore, he had a long amateur career. He was 11-7 as an amateur, which is a decent record. And his pro career started out awful, though. He lost his first 4 pro fights, 5 of 6. And he was a 1-5 at the end of 2022. But came back in 2023, won a fight, then went 2-0 in 2024. And currently he's on a 3-fight win streak. He's won 4 of his last 5 fights. He's trained out of Law School MMA, which has produced some UFC fighters like Danny Barlow. And he's confident, he's athletic, and I think he has a shot here. He has some decent amateur wins, no good pro wins. But with Jason Danner, the issue is it was really hard to find a lot of his fights. The short clips that you do see, he seems like he's like a showboater in there. He wants to use a lot of antics, and he's really just ran through every fighter he's fought. He seems small for the weight, but he's aggressive. He'll throw some pretty good combinations. His grappling looks good. It seems like he's deceptively strong. His ground and pound on top is pretty good, and he has 6 finishes, which is all his fights. So he's finished all of his fights, and the majority of them he's finished on the ground. Mostly are ground and pound wins. But his one loss was a decision loss, so all of his victories came within the first 2 rounds. You don't really know how he's going to do if he gets extended here. And Gilmore, even though they seem similar size on paper, to me Gilmore looked a lot more bigger physically. And Gilmore's dangerous because he's long, he's powerful, he's wild, check hooks, overhands, uppercuts, ton of kicks. And it seems like he's gotten better with his offensive wrestling. Time double legs, kind of just lay on top of you. But his last loss, he did get out wrestled. He seems fairly strong. He can defend upper body takedowns, but if you shoot on his legs, it seems like he can get a little lost. And he gave his back to stand up, got backpacked his last loss, but he's been winning recent fights with the wrestling, though. Trains out of grappling heavy gyms. His conditioning is good. So if he can extend the fight and kind of smother Danner and take away his explosive grappling combinations on the feet, I think that he could win. But Danner is the guy who they're looking to get the win here. He's a big favorite. I do think it's a dog or pass, but I just think Danner probably has jiu-jitsu to create scrambles and eventually get on top. Maybe he could finish Gilmore, maybe he can't. That's why I'm a little worried about him winning, because if he can't get the finish, I don't know how he's going to be looking in the later rounds. But I'm just going to take the shot on Danner. I don't know too much about him, and obviously he's the prospect that they're trying to build here. So I'll say that he's able to get the victory in that fight. But pure dogger pass, honestly. And next fight, Alexi Pargande taking on Mike Bardsley. And good fight. Alexi is obviously a guy that the UFC's been trying to push. He's had all his wins inside the UFC's cage, or PFL's cage as a pro. And he's taking on Mike Bardsley, who is local to the Atlanta area. He has fought some fights for NFC, which is the promotion there in Georgia. He won his last 2 fights in the NFC, but he's had 1 fight for PFL. Came in, fought Brian Zurcher, who's another one of these PFL prospects, and he pushed him a little bit. He had some moments, but ended up getting finished with strikes, and kind of what I think is going to happen here. Mike Bardsley, he actually is coming off a submission win over the same opponent that Pargande fought in his last fight, and Pargande went the full distance, so that could give him some confidence. But on the feet, Bardsley, he has some power. He's tough, durable. He'll come forward with the high guard, but stiff, hittable. He's walking forward, backward in straight lines. And Pargande, he's slick. He's good at pulling guys into power. He's been fighting these steel chin guys lately where he's landed some flying knees, some really nasty 3-2s, 1-2s, and opponents have been able to just walk through the shots. So Bardsley is kind of similar where he will eat a lot of damage, but I think Pargande could potentially hurt him a little bit more and maybe finish him in comparison to his last couple opponents. And on the ground, Pargande will make some takedowns if fights get extended and kind of just lay on you. It seems like he will get a little tired and use that to just stall out, but he has decent wrestling, decent top control. And then if you do try to take him down or grapple with him, his grappling is on point. He has good scrambles, he'll attack subs, and Bardsley, even though he has good wrestling and he can float on top well, it seems like he'll defend submissions and use that to get the back or a dominant position, but his grappling looks a little weak. I feel like Pargande has the advantage in the grappling as well. So, yeah, I think Pargande can get the finish here. I'll say check hook, knockout round 2. And third fight we got on the card, we got Mukhamed Berkhmov taking on Kendly St. Louis. Good matchup here with Berkhmov trying to bounce back off the Thad G knockout. Kendly St. Louis, he's on a big run, but obviously he wasn't offered to be part of the world tournament, and he's hoping that a performance here versus Berkhmov could get him in there maybe next year. But St. Louis has fought a couple times for PFL. He's won every time he's fought for PFL, and it's a good matchup. He's on the feet. Berkhmov, he kind of likes to point fight you from a distance. He'll stay long with the jab, kind of pepper you with nice combinations, but doesn't really have a lot of power and doesn't have the greatest defense. Kendly St. Louis, long arms, he's pressuring, he's trying to come forward and take you down, throw punches over the top. He has pretty good power, and even though his striking isn't as technical, I think that if he's aggressive, he could land on Berkhmov, who I expect to be trying to come into this fight defending a lot of takedowns or thinking about that. St. Louis is going to mix in the wrestling, hopefully. But Berkhmov is coming off a knockout loss. I feel like St. Louis is more durable and more powerful, so he needs to use that. He has to try to maybe take some damage to force some exchanges and land something hard. And if he could do that, I think that he could maybe rock Berkhmov, especially with Berkhmov coming back 2 months after a TKO loss. And then I think St. Louis can get takedowns like we saw Ray Cooper be effective getting a couple takedowns on Berkhmov. And the one area where I'm a little worried is that single leg from Berkhmov. He has a really nice single. He uses it to circle to the back and kind of just ride you out from standing or the wrestling ride position. But I'm going to lean with St. Louis in this one. I'm going to say he's able to use his physicality, his ability to land the heavier punches on the top that maybe have a little more effect, and then on top of that, get a takedown or two and steal this victory. So give me the guy with the momentum, and I'll go with Kendly St. Louis in that one. Next fight we got on the card, it's a rebooking of a fight that was supposed to happen earlier this year, and two grapplers, but Joseph Luciano kind of got, not exposed because he was fighting Logan Storley, who's one of the best wrestlers in MMA, but he got absolutely dominated. Logan Storley took him down, held him down, advanced into dominant positions on him, and just really, Luciano didn't have a lot of moments in that fight. And when you look at Sarek Shields, that's going to give Shields a lot of confidence because Shields is a wrestler that wants to take you down, and he's finished a lot of his wins. He likes to take the back and get you out of there, so that's his issue where I don't know if he can maintain the pace, but early he should be able to take Luciano down, and if he can and then get the back, which Luciano tends to expose his back, maybe he could get a finish win or win enough minutes where he could steal a decision. But on the feet, I think Luciano has a slight edge, and he does have good grappling credentials. If he could improve a little bit off his last performance, make it a little more difficult, I think Shields doesn't have the wrestling, obviously, and doesn't have the gas tank that Logan Storley does, so I think he could get Shields tired and then get him out of there. So kind of when I'm leaning Luciano round 2, round 3, but Shields is a live underdog, so kind of a pass for me, and I don't have the greatest read on that fight. But the next one, we got Magomed and Khaybulaev versus Anthony Ivy. And, man, shout out to Anthony Ivy. He missed weight for this fight, which was unfortunate, but he had made it to the UFC, and then he lost, I believe, 2 fights at UFC, got cut, and lost 3 more in a row after that. So he was on a 5-fight losing streak, and he was able to turn that around, win, I believe, 7 fights in a row with 7 finishes, and now he's taking on Umalatov, who's coming in here off his first career loss, where he fought Shabil Musayev, who's just an absolute beast, and couldn't get the job done in that one. But he's looking to bounce back here, and overall he's 17-1, so that's his only loss of his career, and he's been extremely dominant outside of that. He was going to fight in this tournament, though, which is also, I believe, something you have to bring up, and then he missed weight for his fight with Logan Storley. Ended up, that fight got scrapped, and then he was scheduled to fight Andrei Koreshkov, but Andrei got injured, so now he's fighting Anthony Ivy, and he's a massive favorite, but obviously this year hasn't really been the best for him. But style-wise, Umalatov, well-rounded fighter. He will take the path of least resistance. He'll wrestle strikers. He'll strike with the wrestlers. Big knockout power on the feet, and he'll stay patient. You'll work the jab, the lead hook. He eventually will try to land that big right hand over the top. Nice overhand right, 1-2s. And he has big power. If you can land with the right hand clean, he could definitely hurt you. Decent kicks. He'll throw body kicks, flying knees, and 11 knockout wins. I do think he struggles a little bit with kickers, especially low kickers. He'll try to time level changes or catch kicks and get takedowns, but he also ate a lot of low kicks in certain fights. And he normally likes to hang back and then use his explosiveness and speed. And he got aggressive on the pressure with Andrei Koreshkov and threw some 1-2s, 3-2s to back Koreshkov up and then wrestle him due to the kicking game. And I thought that was a good adjustment. If you could survive early with Umalatov and kind of keep the pressure on him, he will slow down a little bit. And you have to make it a brawl. You have to throw combinations. Even Neiman Gracie, who isn't really an elite striker, had some success just making it ugly on the feet. But Umalatov, the guy's really good. He's powerful. He could fight off the back foot or the front foot. And his one loss versus Musayev kind of just found a guy that was better than him at his game. Musayev was able to hang back and just pull Umalatov into the power. He was a little bit faster, and then he knocked him out. But Umalatov's credit, I mean, he did try to change it up and bring the pressure a little bit, and had more success in the second round than he did early, but obviously it didn't end up working for him. But Umalatov, good level changes, good takedowns against the cage, and on top, he kind of just smothers you. He'll hold you down. He only has 3 submission wins, but essentially when you fight Umalatov, you have an extremely fast, powerful, explosive fighter who tries to jab, check, hook, that keep them at bay and then pull them into power or take down his opponents. He isn't super high volume, but he has the speed and footwork to stay all the way on the outside and then the power to shut you off. That mid-range is where Umalatov really doesn't want to be that much. He can't really box. He doesn't have the best head movement, so that's where you want to put him. But Anthony Ivy is a grappler. He's kill or be killed. He's finished all 15 of his wins. He's been finished 5 times himself. 0-2 in decisions. But Ivy on the feet, he has decent kicks. And when fighters get tired, he can come forward with long combinations that can be effective. He's good at dirty boxing and kind of using his wrestling to open up striking opportunities. And he keeps his hands high, so he blocks a lot of headshots. Pretty durable to the head, too. But he has been hurt to the body before. In 2 of his 3 KO, TKO losses, he got hurt to the body. So I think that attacking his body is a path to victory. But just on the feet, he's going to be a lot slower. So he has to grab and make it more of a ugly type of fight. And then maybe when Umalatov's a bit slower, his kicks will be effective. But on the feet, I think he's at a big disadvantage. And then Ivy, though, he's a great wrestler. Or not a great wrestler. He's an average wrestler, maybe above average, but really great scrambler. He's great at keeping the action flowing. He never accepts bottom position. His game is just creating a lot of scrambles, getting fighters tired, and then finishing them from the top position when they're done. And I personally see Ivy's only path to victory here is bad fight IQ from Umalatov. If Umalatov just plays his game, uses his speed, pulls, he's likely going to knock Ivy out. But if he drops Ivy and jumps on top and ends up on his back somehow or tries to grapple, that's really the only way I could see him losing. Ivy has better cardio, but I don't think he has the ability to push the pace in this matchup. And I honestly think he's going to get knocked out within the first 2 rounds. So give me Magomed Umalatov in that fight via knockout. And continuing on through the card, this next one, we got another really good one with Jeremy Kennedy taking on Adam Borics. This is a rematch, and Jeremy Kennedy looked good in his last fight. He went in there. He was able to, I believe, beat Khaybulaev, but they didn't give him the win. It was a really close split decision loss. First round, he came out there and beat the brakes off Khaybulaev and dominated the round. And then the second and third became a lot more competitive. But Jeremy Kennedy has been that kind of guy, man, where it's like he gets to the pinnacle or he gets to his Super Bowl, per se, and then he loses the fight. So he hasn't been that trustworthy. And then Adam Borics, he fought Jesus Pinedo in round 1 and got knocked out in the first round. So obviously his dreams in the tournament were ended really quickly and he didn't do well. But these guys have fought before and Borics won a decision pretty easily. He just is the better striker. He used his jab, check, hook, leg kicks, and obviously he's big power to keep Kennedy at distance. And then whenever Borics fights a wrestler, they're always very keenly aware of the knees. So it seems like a lot of wrestlers are very hesitant to shoot on Borics. If you actually can get in on Borics, you could take him down pretty easily. His takedown defense really isn't all that great, but he is just trying to catch you with shots as you cross the void, and if he does, he could put you out. And if you take too much time to get going and start the wrestling off, he's leg kicked you 4 or 5 times and jabbed you in the face 10 times, and you're just not as sharp as you were at the start. But if Kennedy goes in there and really wrestles hard, I think he has a chance to get the upset, but I just think he's going to stand in front of Borics like the first fight, probably get chopped down with leg kicks a few times, and then maybe get a takedown at one point, but just not wrestle enough to give himself the chance to win and lose a 15-minute striking battle. So that's my prediction. I got Adam Borics to win decision once again in their rematch. And we got Movlid Khaybulaev, who I was just talking about, taking on Kyun Kim in this next one. And good matchup. Obviously, the bigger name is Khaybulaev, but I think Kyun Kim is a really good fighter. Front foot striker. Very lead hand heavy. You'll shoot a lot of jabs out there, fast hands. You'll throw some 1-2s, super high volume. And he's good at keeping the pace on guys, and when he feels them start to wilt, he'll pick it up. He has good knees in the clinch. His last fight, he threw a nice head kick, and he seemed more ready to be kick heavy, but it was a quick fight, and you couldn't really tell ultimately what his game plan was. But he hasn't thrown kicks that much in other fights, so that was a new wrinkle for him. And defensively, he is hittable. He doesn't really check leg kicks. He doesn't have much head movement. His defense is keeping the jab in your face, pressuring so you can't set or throw, and just trying to pick and pull you and then make you hesitant to throw at him. But when he does get caught, he has been hurt, and making fights ugly is how to get to him. Kim doesn't have a ton of power, although I will say his last couple fights he's flashed more power, but throughout his whole career he only has 3 knockouts, and he's had fights where he's landed a ton of volume and couldn't get the guy out of there. But he did drop Nathan Kelly with the overhand his last fight before choking him out. And maybe he is starting to get a little more power. But Kim is a good grappler. He could wrestle versus low-level guys. He's good on top. But in this fight, obviously, it's going to be more about defensive grappling for Kim. Kim has a very dangerous guard. He's super explosive, really strong legs. He can manipulate guys really well with butterfly hooks. And he's good at bumping and finding opportunities to shoot up triangles, arm bars, even attack the legs. And you'll create scrambles and get back up on top. And I think that going under Khaybulaev in this fight, attacking his legs and things like that is going to be what you have to do to try to get back up if you're taken down. But he also has good front chokes. If Khaybulaev gets tired, starts spamming bad takedowns, he could get caught. But we have seen relentless wrestlers smother Kim on top like Roman Bogotov, and he did seem like he got a little hesitant in that fight. In the third round, he didn't do too much. But he has 7 finishes out of 11 wins, Kim. 1 close decision loss. He does have wins over Russian wrestlers, and he's fought multiple, so he knows this style. And Khaybulaev, Habib-trained fighter, prototypical Daggy wrestler, short, compact, muscular, explosive, and he wants to get fights to the floor and maul you. Strong takedown game. He has some unorthodox takedowns. Like, he'll almost throw himself to the ground to get attached to you and then explode back up and get the takedown. But on top, he's smothering. You'll float on top well. He takes what you give him. You'll jump on the back or the mount. He also will just wrist ride you, beat you up. He doesn't really have a great submission game. He only has 3 submission wins, but he shuts down fighters' jiu-jitsu and stays on top. And on the feet, I would say he's underrated. He's flat-footed and not super fast. His last fight, he looked bad. I mean, he was trying to head his opponent off, but you see in other fights, he will explode with power hooks, uppercuts, close the distance, and he's powerful. I do think in this fight, he's going to have to figure out how to get past the jab, but he's also going to have a chance to land that leaping left hook, land the big right hand over the top, throw calf kicks, flying knees, and he's the more explosive, powerful guy. So if he can close the gap and touch Khaybulaev, then I think, or Kim, I think he maybe could hurt him, especially early. But Jeremy Kennedy showed Kim part of what he has to do in this fight, and that's be aggressive and go forward. Kennedy beat up Khaybulaev in the first round. He busted his nose. He rocked him 4 or 5 times. And Kim, if he could back Khaybulaev to defense and use his jab to draw out Khaybulaev's offense and then counter, he should be able to piece him up. And like I said, I'm worried about the explosiveness from Khaybulaev and his ability to close the gap and land on Kim. And I'm worried about the leg kicks on top of the wrestling. I think Khaybulaev has a puncher's chance, especially early, because Kim is a bit hittable. to knock him out, and then he could wrestle him. But Kim has better stand up, more volume, better submission game, and even if he takes down Kim, I think Kim is going to be active on the ground. But I don't know. It's possible he's improved since the Bogota fight enough to beat someone like Khaybulaev, but I just think Khaybulaev probably be able to move and stay dangerous on their feet through his power and leg kicks, and then get enough control time to carry that into a decision victory. So for me, I'm going to go with Khaybulaev, but I do think Kyun Kim is a live underdog. And moving on to someone that I don't think is a live underdog, and that's Masayuki Kikuiri. Probably my most confident pick on this card with Logan Storley. Not that impressed with Kikuiri, man. I mean, the guy has an ability to find the knockout, decent kicks. Seems like he has decent 1-2s, but he's one of these guys that takes one to give one. He's walking you down, trying to wear you out with his pressure and war of attrition type style. And his wrestling defense looks pretty good, but he's never fought someone even close to the level of wrestling as Storley. And Logan Storley, I think, is one of the best fighters in this tournament. He's a dark horse to potentially win the tournament. He has the ability to close the distance better now. His defense is improving. He's getting better at using his wrestling to set up his striking and at least be somewhat dangerous on the feet. And then when he could take you down, he's smothering you. You're not getting back up. He's really good at just holding you down. This guy's wins over guys like MVP, and he's fought the cream of the crop, whereas Masayuki has not. And just banking on trying to knock out Logan Storley after all these elite level strikers haven't been able to do it, I don't think it's very likely. So Storley, I think, dominates this fight. Maybe gets a finish on the ground. Maybe gets a decision, but Storley should get the win really easily in that one. And co-main event, we got a trilogy fight, and it's going to be the rubber match between Gabriel Braga and Jesus Pinedo. The first time they met, Braga won a decision, but Pinedo came back with a decisive knockout win in the finals of the $1 Million Tournament in 2023. And since the loss, Braga has went 4-1, and Pinedo has only fought once, and he got the knockout a couple months ago over Adam Borics. But both these fighters are still pretty young, with Pinedo being 28, Braga being 27, so they should be around their primes. And it's weird because of their body types, but although Jesus Pinedo is 3 inches taller and he has a reach advantage, he's better on the inside. He's good at crowding fighters. He'll throw fast hand combinations, body head. He's really loose with his hands. Nice, clean, accurate shots. That's good boxing. He just touches you and then he finds the heavier punches. And good knees, good elbows. Super dangerous in exchanges. And his opponent, Gabriel Braga, he has a nice jab, good straights. His leg kicks are on point. He was able to land nice calf kicks and catch Pinedo with some counters coming in at range. And Pinedo absorbed everything pretty well, though. And he's a Terminator-type fighter. He'll keep pressing. He was able to win the end of the rounds after back and forth in their first fight. And he baited Braga into some pocket exchanges, which hopefully Braga doesn't indulge in this time. But Pinedo is also good at using his footwork and then exploding in. And it just makes him tricky because he could hang inside and do really well in the pocket, and then he could fight from a distance too. And he's also more creative than Braga. For instance, landing that flying knee his last fight with Braga in the finishing sequence. But Braga's more meat and potatoes, but he makes it a good work for him, and it's a good dynamic. In the second Pinedo fight, he was throwing a lot more body kicks, and he had success with that. I think he needs to throw more kicks here. The power is in Pinedo's favor, and he took Braga out in his last fight. But Braga is hard to hit, though, and he made Pinedo miss a lot in their fights. For Braga, I think he has to try to bait Pinedo into more counter hooks or crosses. He needs to use more feints, and I think try to open up Pinedo a bit more, along with using more kicks, which will help that too. And he can't be as stiff, because when he's just going high guard and Pinedo is able to land 4, 5, 6 small punches, and then Braga is trying to counter with one big hook, even if he lands it, it's probably not enough to sway the judges, and is at a power disadvantage, so it's just not smart to be taking all those strikes. He has to either use the leg kicks to get Pinedo to be a little bit compromised, or he has to use feints to try to draw out Pinedo and then counter him and be a little bit more athletic. For Pinedo, he just needs to do the same as he did his last fight. He has to use footwork, stay moving, pull Braga into combinations, go to the body like he did in the last one, and then extend the exchanges and try to get Braga to stay in the pocket with him. And Pinedo's counter to Braga's pressure and leg kicks was more volume in the second fight, and it worked. I think it'll work again. Neither guy's going to wrestle here, so it's all about who can adjust and win on the feet. Pinedo got a couple takedowns kind of just to try to steal the rounds, but that's kind of all we're going to see out of the grappling, I feel, in this fight. Ultimately, it seemed like Pinedo was able to take away the low kicks from Braga more in the second fight, and he wasn't fazed too much by Braga's power. So I think Pinedo's going to be looking for another finish now that he knows he can hurt Braga, and due to the first round knockout over Borics as well, I think he's going to be confident, but I could see this one going all 3 rounds or maybe another late knockout like round 3 because Braga is really tough. He's difficult to hit, and obviously he knows that Pinedo can hurt him, but either way, I think Pinedo's going to get the victory in that one. But really good fight, high-level matchup there, and a fun one. And finally, we got the main event. Talk about a fun fight. These guys have built it up pretty good. I feel like if they had a bigger platform to build this fight up, it could have became a major fight potentially. Both good talkers, both fun in the cage. But you look at Thad Jean, power puncher, really good speed. He reminds me a little bit of Jamal Hill, though, but he doesn't have the clinch work yet from what I've seen. He walks fighters down. He could switch stances, but he could be a little bit plodding with his footwork. It seems like he could cross his feet, be a little awkward, but he's really long and he has elite speed. He wants to cut fighters off and then let go of switch stance punch attacks. He'll throw nice straights, sneaky hooks. His uppercuts are good, great cardio, and he wants to really push a high pace. He walks you down, and he's gotten a lot of early finishes, but you saw the fight with Chris Brown. He probably threw like 300 strikes in that fight. But he is only a puncher for the most part. That Chris Brown fight, he did eat a lot of kicks. I think leg kicks are the way to go on Jean, and then moving and not standing in front of him or getting back to the fence. We've not seen Jean fight someone with really great wrestling, but he's a huge guy who I don't really think many will want to shoot on anyways. And his reaction to the takedowns I've seen were really fast, really good. He has great balance, and he's not someone you want to end up on bottom against. So I don't think grappling him is really the way to go. He was taken down by Berkhmov, but he used a guillotine to get up super quick. So he even showed that he might have a little bit more technicality to his ground game that we don't know about. And he's just a high level or a high volume pressure fighter. Primarily a boxer, a guy that wants to cut you off, force exchanges, use his hand speed and power to put your lights out. And he's super confident. He's undefeated, comes in great shape. And I think he's going to be ready for a dogfight if need be. He did start wrestling in the third round versus Chris Brown, and I think it was because he was starting to slow down a little bit. But he threw so much offense in that fight. He doesn't have a ton of experience in long fights, and that was a good learning experience for him. But this is a huge step up. Jason Jackson, long-time top-flight Bellator fighter. He's the last ever Bellator welterweight champion. He's a PFL super champion, and he had a long win streak, which included some amazing wins, but he ended up losing a fight last year. He bounced back with the win against Andrei Korshkov and looked good in the first round of the tournament. And on the feet, Jackson looked good in his last fight, man. If he looks fast like that and slick, I think he's going to give Jean problems. But he's had other fights where he looked a little slow, and he can't come in flat. But he has good hands. He likes to land the rear cross, uppercuts, jab, check hooks. He comes in tall so he can move in and out of range and kick, and he's pretty fluid and athletic. I think leg kicks and lateral footwork, then pulling Jean into straight punches, overhands, and then eventually using that to set up your takedowns is going to be how to beat Gene. I think Gene has faster hands and more power. So Jackson doesn't want to be in that mid range. He doesn't want to stand in front of Gene. He doesn't want to get back to the fence. But if you could pull Jackson or pull Thad into big punches, that could work. And then stay at kicking range, use leg kicks, use body kicks. Try to get Gene kind of worried about that, and then put him on the cage, wrestle him. And wrestling has been what has been getting Jackson the majority of his recent wins. He has an explosive double leg. He smothers on top really well. Great cardio. He has 5 rounds of experience that he's gone many times. And I think Jason Jackson should be the fighter who wins more minutes in this fight. I think he's smoother. He has good leg kicks. And in general, he's good at hitting and not getting hit. I think that he could move around and then smother Gene when Gene tries to get close. Gene is super fast and he's dangerous, so he has a big puncher's chance, and maybe he could surprise in the wrestling and reverse and get on top or stuff everything really easily, but I don't know. I personally feel that Jackson takes a decision here with veteran savvy. I think he's going to show that hole of leg kick defense in Thad Gene's game here, but if Gene knocks him out, I wouldn't be that surprised. Both these guys have passed to victory, but I'm going to go with the vet. I'm going to go with Jason Jackson. So there you have it, guys. Full card breakdown predictions video for PFL semifinals of the 2025 World Tournament. Hopefully you tuned in. It's on Thursday. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Going to be giving you guys a UFC breakdown predictions video soon. So hit the like button on this video. Put a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree with my picks? Let's try to get some good interaction on this video. And besides that, guys, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.